a child who couldn't sleep. Relaxation was not very deep. A radio lay by the bed. It turned itself on and said, "I'm your worst nightmare. Your parents will beg for mercy, and then I will make my way to your room and tell you about comics." "Oh no! It can't be! What do you call this heinous act?"
This is Comics Covered, week of December 27th.
Yeah?
2017. Okay.
You sound like the people you make fun of on anime. Episode 7.
That is.
I needed to show you up from last week.
Here on Comics Covered.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. You sure one up to me in some sort of fashion. That was truly unsettling. Here on Comics Covered, we talk about comic books and the world around them. Comics industry, comics, movies, TV, games. We also apparently have started a trend of telling scary stories. So,
well, I think this is fun. Special for the year end and the holidays and everything like that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Nothing better for Christmas and New Year's than just scaring the shit out of people and really making our podcast as off-putting as possible.
Yeah.
I congratulate me and I congratulate you on this feat. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. We'll also talk spoilers, and we already swore. So, I mean, I guess I'm warning you now, but if you didn't already figure that out, then I guess fuck off.
Did we swear?
We'll warn you. I think I said shit a minute ago.
Okay, never mind.
We'll warn you about the spoilers, though, beforehand, doing so now, and we'll do so later, rather than just doing them and then telling you later. I'm Doug. I'm a resident comics veteran, and it's not, like, necessarily 2017 or 2018 themed, I guess, but it's like new years, like the advancement of time themed. But the character that I know this week, that you probably don't know, is Jenny Sparks.
I'm sorry. I'm Jack, and I'm a recent convert to comics. Isn't any character a theme of the advancement of time unless it's like Benjamin Button? I mean, the advancement of time is a very general way of saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but characters aren't generally themed around the advancement of time. Yeah, but
they all share that.
Might be a thing in their comics.
The advancement of time is natural.
I don't know that they actually do is the thing. I mean, that's kind of a thing that I've always been fascinated by, is how time and the passing of time is treated in comics, because it's so, like, dependent on who's writing and, like, if they want to address the fact of the characters' long histories. Like a lot of these characters have been around, superhero characters have been around since, like, the 30s and 40s or earlier, and that is either the events of those are directly referenced, in which case they either recontextualize it or it just is how it is, or they just didn't happen, depending on the version. So does time really advance in comics? It kind of depends.
Okay, good point.
They're kind of ageless. Anyway.
Okay, so Jenny Sparks. I don't know who Jenny Sparks is.
Yep. So this is somewhat related. Well, not somewhat. It is very related to last week. It's kind of it's almost a spin-off of our character from last week. It is another, so I'll just tell you, it's another Wildstorm character.
Wildstorm. I was going to guess that.
Which is technically Image again, and again, technically now DC. But do you have a guess? Anything about Jenny Sparks?
Okay, Jenny Sparks.
Based on your very limited knowledge.
Yes. Jenny Sparks, she started off, if we're going spin-off, she started off as a coworker of Jack Hawksmoor, but when he got all weird and stuff, she was, put off by it, and so she went off and did her own thing. She started a band, and a small indie garage band, and and she got powers of musical vibrations, and she would send out little things of vibrations to, and I don't know. Yeah, that's where I'm at in my guessing. My imagination's running wild this holiday season.
Apparently. And I should note, I meant she's a related character to last week, in that it's a spin-off in the sense that I picked a character related to last week, not in that she as a character is a spin-off of
Jack Hawksmoor.
Oh. But she is I'm not sure if it's different now. Well, I mean, it is different now, but she originally, when she debuted in the 90s at some point,
90s. You know who this is?
I was just looking up the year. I don't know the specific year. Anyway, she is the spirit of the 20th century.
Oh.
She was a character also on Warren Ellis's Stormwatch and Authority books. And she is basically a person who is reincarnated every century, and is the kind of the embodiment of the kind of progress of that century, the big new thing. In this case, it was technology. It was electricity. So she has electricity-based powers. She's also just got she can heal. She's basically immortal. In the sense that she just keeps getting reincarnated.
Okay.
But
so wait, so she's a really easy character to just keep having to build on, because she can, I know, as much as she says she's the person of the blank century, she's reincarnated every century, you can still have her reimagined sort of every decade, probably even.
Yeah, the cool thing was, Authority took place right at the end of the 20th century, and so she was, of course, reincarnated as the spirit of the 21st century, and was named Jenny Quantum.
Oh.
And was an infant, for a while. And then, New 52 happened at DC. They incorporated, the Wildstorm universe characters into their universe. And she was still Jenny Quantum, but a kid, a younger kid.
Like Darkseid.
And then now and then Warren Ellis had left a while back and hadn't been at DC for a long time. And now, just this past year, he came back to basically relaunch the Wildstorm universe for them again as kind of its own thing. So they have another comics imprint called Wildstorm, and he's writing a book called The Wildstorm, in which Jenny Sparks is again a character. So I'm not so I guess they're dropping the Jenny Quantum thing, I guess because this is a sort of reboot and Jenny Sparks is just a better name. But
okay, so you kind of you kind of contradicted yourself. Them going back to the name is sort of a screw you to the advancement of time.
No, it's a reboot, and so there never was a Jenny Sparks or a Jenny Quantum before this one in this, just old versions of her, and this one in the 21st century now is named Jenny Sparks.
But that's what I'm saying.
As far as I can tell.
If you're, advanced, she still has the advancement of time thing, but
she's still themed around the advancement of time. All right, anyway.
Okay.
We don't need to get bogged down.
How was your holiday season,
she's really
Doug?
cool. She's really badass.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It was great. Yeah.
It was sickening.
Sickening. Yeah. Got very sick. And now I am in Texas, in Houston, for a wedding. Mm-hmm. So, thought we were going to get to record another one in person again.
Yeah.
But, ended up having to kind of run out of town didn't plan that very well.
Yeah.
But,
it's also negative 12
yeah,
here.
how was your Christmas?
It's good. It's really cold. And,
it's negative 12?
It is negative 12 with no wind. So this isn't even wind chill. It's just negative 12.
Well, I mean, that's better than being negative 12 with wind.
Is it?
Yeah, wind is what makes cold unbearable. Like, I can deal with the same temperature if there's no wind than if it was technically warmer, but the wind made it that cold.
Huh. I disagree. Because there are still gusts when it's negative 12 and it makes it colder. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. Well,
it's
anyways.
fun. We're just having a good time going around tonight. We're gonna go to this really cool Russian, like, the entire Russian population of Minnesota gathers at this one place, and it's really cool. It's great. So I'm really excited for that.
The entire Russian population, they round them up.
They round them up.
They say, you're
gonna eat this food.
You're coming here.
Yeah. But in any case, it's
eat it.
That's a Weird Al Yankovic song. It's a great song.
Uh-huh.
In any case, that's about it. It's not really that exciting, but yeah, that's about it. We had a good stack, though. I didn't get to buy them. You sent me the downloads.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna do kind of a slightly adapted show this week. This is kind of like, it's a stand-in for like a year-end. I mean, it is a year-end wrap-up kind of thing for us, but we've only been doing the show since
end of November.
Oh God, was that November? Yeah, mid-November
this
sometime.
long-standing podcast will be going over, the entire archive of 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm. But it's less so like, because we don't have a whole lot of content on the whole year, it's less so like, we're not doing like lists or anything, or like the best of. We're just gonna kind of chat about like the stuff we liked this year, after we do our books for the week. So yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, first we had, our shared books here. We read Doomsday Clock number 2, second issue in Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's series, in which the Watchmen, are kind of invading the DC
and
universe.
No hanging dong.
We had Thanos, and no, they do not hang dong. No dongs were hung.
Dongs.
Okay, sorry, slight tangent. Do you know my favorite palindrome?
No. What's a palindrome again? That's when it's the race car kind of thing?
A palindrome, yes, it is. If you spell it backwards, it says the same thing. It's the same backwards and forwards. My favorite palindrome is, go hang a salami, I'm a lasagna hog.
Whoa, that's actually a palindrome? Go hang salami, I'm a lasagna hog.
Go hang
a salami, I'm a lasagna hog. We should make a story around that. That should be an intro in the future.
There's so many different ways you can read it. You're angry, go hang a salami, I'm a lasagna hog. Or it's like an honest, like advice. Like, go hang a salami. I'm a lasagna hog. Like, I'm fine.
Okay.
Anyways, back to our books. We also read Thanos number 14, by Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw. The second issue in the Thanos Wins arc. We read Hawkman Found. Technically a number 1. It's a one-shot, one-off issue. Kind of a spin-off one-shot from the Dark Knight's Metal event at DC. And Moon Knight number 190 by Max Bemis and
yes,
Jason Burrows. Oh, I didn't say the art team for
Jason Burrows.
Dark Knight's.
Burrows.
It's not that funny. Hawkman Found was Jeff Lemire's first comic back at DC after leaving, and Brian Hitch. Always great, Brian Hitch.
Okay.
Unless he's writing.
Oh. Then what did you read? Did you read anything else? Did you have a big? I don't know.
And then I also read a few other things. I read Detective Comics number 971, which I mistyped here. Teen Titans number 15, which I don't normally read, but just like Super Sons or whatever it was last week, it's in a crossover with Superman right now. And The Flash number 37.
The Flash Wars started? Or no spoilers, yeah. Sorry, no spoilers.
Flash Wars is going to be next year.
Oh.
But yeah, spoiler warning, we're going to talk about, for our shared books, some spoilers for these books. I don't think we're going to get too bogged down in details, because I think we're going to kind of speed through these a little bit, because it isn't the focus of this episode. But it
was great.
But we have to talk about Doomsday Clock.
Because they literally, they put them right together now, and it's awesome. The universes, and it was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this was what we were waiting for obviously, the setup, very necessary in that first issue.
Oh, yeah.
But, this is what you are waiting for in this series. Mm-hmm. Is that, if anyone doesn't know, this series is basically Alan Moore's Watchmen characters who are historically their own thing. They're a standalone book. Not connected to the DC universe at all. And last year they teased that those characters were going to be kind of integrated into the DC universe, or they're at least going to meet them. Whether or not that's a continuing thing that'll be ongoing after this. But they're meeting the DC characters. They're having a sort of crossover.
Yeah. And they do it in great fashion, because, I don't know, they just kind of... I love the beginning of this, too. One thing I don't understand is the random appearance by Dr. Manhattan in the beginning.
He's protecting this bank. They make this point of saying, you picked the wrong bank because it's, the bank for rich people, and so Dr. Manhattan, being a government tool, is sent in to save the bank. He's basically been, this is one of his places that he protects, that he keeps.
So what I'm confused about is that they make a big deal about finding John. They found him. He protected the bank.
This is a flashback.
Oh, wait.
Jack, slow down when you read your comics.
Wait a minute.
This whole sequence is a flashback. Rorschach is watching security cam footage from back in the day when the Mime and
Marionette were robbing a bank.
And Marionette were robbing a bank. And this is he's watching the security cam footage, and then they go into the security cam footage and we just watch the scene play out. It's a flashback.
Oh.
And it is an explanation for the reason that Ozymandias, who is the villain of the original Watchmen, wants them to find Dr. Manhattan, who's basically the most powerful superhuman in their world. He's saying that these villains that they've basically co-opted onto their cause have some sort of connection to a moment in Dr. Manhattan's past in which he decided to spare someone because he had an emotional reaction to seeing that I think she was going to have a child.
Yeah.
Is what the implication was.
Yeah.
And because he experiences time weird, he sees it all at once. And so he saw that in the future she was going to have a child, I think, or that she had a child at some point. And he spared her rather than completely eviscerating her on a subatomic level like he normally does to criminals.
Okay, you know what's confusing?
Yeah, that whole sequence is...
I'm looking at this now. It's confusing because they separate it by the title. And I guess there's this sequence of us zooming into the camera. I don't know. I guess I didn't really... Okay.
I mean, it's just so disconnected from... It happens in the middle of this other scene, and then we go back to the other scene, and with the context of the security cam footage.
I guess I thought they were, back in the thing after having this, altercation. Back in the hideout.
No.
I didn't know why they were randomly doing that.
No.
Okay.
No, it was a flashback.
That was my bad. It's a little bit...
anyway.
Okay, never mind. Whatever. I'm done.
But yeah, but that was a flashback. We could see the Mime and Marionette kind of doing their thing.
Her wire cutter.
Kind of, the mime holds up the lady at the counter in this bank by just like pointing his finger at her, and then like the lady gets freaked out and tells them who knows how to open the safe, and then her boss gets super pissed at her because he's literally pointing a finger at you. What are you doing? He also seems like a dick. Wow. But anyway, yeah. But they're doing some really cool stuff with kind of like retroactive continuity in the DC part of this. We finally get a little bit more of the DC side of this. Bruce Wayne, it has like protests outside of his building, where people are protesting about,
fascist state with the Batman and stuff.
But like, which is a thing they've been sort of building to in Detective Comics, because he has basically a covert strike force that is like has no government authority over it, and they're just like sending teams in to stop crime. He's basically created his own police. But anyway, they're kind of building to that, but also they mention all this stuff like the Supermen theory that started with Rex Mason and Kirk Langstrom, but now the mob is after you, and like all this weird stuff that they're just kind of alluding to as if it's like existing continuity. And I'm really fascinated by that because it's not a thing they do often in mainstream superhero comics, in big superhero comics, in that like having stuff happen between books and then we're just supposed to kind of catch up. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's really great, this transition of the Night Owl guy coming through the cloud of the Batman signal is really, really clever and great. You know what I mean? I love that shot.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got the really cool Alan Moore mimetic kind of transition where he's like, we've got the dialogue caption, when are you going to open your eyes, as we're looking at the bat signal, and then the eyes, the two lights in the bat signal's face light up, and then this ship flies through the cloud, and it's got the two headlights, and that's where the lights came from. That's really cool.
Also, are they all these lines in the bat signal, like the hatching thing? Cross-hatching thing?
Yes, that is.
Okay, nice. I know. Okay, good. Yay. Okay. In any case, but yeah, this is such a because it's just so easily integrated. Seemingly, like the art is so well done with the regular DC universe. I don't know. Is there an artist that does stuff like this with regular DC titles, where we would see like something like this with Batman or someone else in the like not Watchmen style?
What specifically are you talking about?
Like the art style that's in this, like the like the definite Watchmen style that this thing is being drawn in.
Gary, just Gary, like this is just Gary Frank. This is just how he draws. Okay. I think he's definitely like he's trying to like pull in some influence from Watchmen, more so in like the panel layouts. Yeah. But like the drawings themselves are like it's just kind of how Gary Frank draws. I think he is very much, he seems anyway, like he's very much, inspired in a lot of ways by Dave Gibbons' work, the artist on the original Watchmen. Okay.
One other thing, I'm sorry. On the same page with the bat signal and the eyes coming through, you know? Okay, they have the next two panels, I think they have like on the 3-panel thing, they have the whole scene, like, displayed, but they have the, like, subject of the scene changing throughout time as it progresses. And I think that's so cool! Like, is that a specific thing? Like, go ahead.
That's a technique that comic artists use now and again. It's a really cool way to show the passage of time in a book. That's a technique that you'll definitely see.
Is it called something?
It's really cool looking. It probably has some sort of name that someone's given it, but I don't know like a nickname for it or anything. But it just where they make one big like widescreen image separated into multiple panels and then shows something as it moves through that singular space in each panel. Yeah, it's a great way to show a sequence of action that's really clear and you know exactly what's happening. Really cool. And then, the big cliffhanger at the end, we've got at the same time as we've got Ozymandias meeting Lex Luthor, and we've got the new Rorschach meeting, Bruce Wayne in the Batcave. And we know why the comedian's button was in the Batcave now.
He's alive.
Because comedian's back. He says, last time you came at me, I was confused, drunk, and this time I'm ready for you. And the comedian is back and shoots Lex Luthor.
Yeah, why does he shoot Lex Luthor? I got the idea that they were... I don't know. Isn't that kind of weird that he's just there?
I mean, maybe he was firing at Ozymandias, because Ozymandias kind of dives out of the way of the shot in this, but maybe he was aiming for Lex Luthor. We don't know. It's very much a cliffhanger.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the big cliffhanger. We'll have to wait until next month to see if they give any kind of explanation of how he's alive, because that's the inciting incident for Watchmen is the comedian is dead who killed him. That's the whole reason for Watchmen. So, I mean, like, I'm a little torn on the bringing back of the comedian. I'm sure there's a thematic reason for it.
Yeah, because he falls out of a building, right? That's in the original one too.
Yeah, he throws him out of a building. But, yeah, I mean, they go out of their way to point out that, to preserve the sanctity of, Rorschach dying, even though they still want to have Rorschach in this. So, there's a reason. There's, some sort of thematic reason why the comedian is back in this. But, yeah, very, very crazy cliffhanger. I didn't have any time to read any of this back matter stuff, but I will at some point, because I think it's all about this Superman theory stuff. Conspiracy stuff, which I find fascinating, so I definitely want to look at that. But
yeah,
and then I think we'll just quickly go through the rest of our books. We read Thanos. Continues to be great.
Yeah, well, it's just cool because do you get the history of Thanos ever really? Because they go into detail.
You get it now and again. They give a very good kind of synopsis of a lot of this issue is kind of the history of Thanos and then the new future history of Thanos, where he how he basically he never dies, and so eventually he conquers everything because over the course of infinite time he will win.
It's inevitable.
No one can kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I just really want to call out this little sequence here. It's where they're just talking about him as this unstoppable force, where it says, perhaps the truth is that Thanos is no more aberrant than the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. He is no more evil than a cancer cell. He is no more matter than his mother before him. The Phoenix burns. Galactus devours. The Watchers witness, the Celestials judge, Thanos lives, Thanos denies, Thanos wins. Yeah. And that's just, God. Donny Cates just really, really gets the rhythm of how, narration in comics works. He keeps it just brief enough that, the narration isn't leading the story necessarily, but it's just adding this really great depth and rhythmic kind of feeling to it.
All right. Yeah. And this guy in that panel where it's Galactus devours, Watchers witness, Celestial judge. I love the shot of Thanos standing tall against the huge. Those are Galactus, or that is Galactus, right?
No, Galactus is the giant dismembered head behind him. You could see his head and then his body are separate. Oh. But, all these giant people behind him. No, that's one of the Celestials.
Oh.
All those people behind him are also Celestials.
I gotcha.
Yeah, they're an ancient race of super powered giants. Basically, they are gods.
And then who is this guy that he's stabbing? That makes an explosion.
That's Black Bolt. Black Bolt is the leader of the Inhumans. He does not speak because his voice can level cities.
Oh.
So that's his power. Like he's the best uses of Black Bolt are where he is like a silent protagonist, and then when he eventually he'll just say the word no or something like very quietly under his breath, and then just shit explodes.
So
it's
basically,
really cool.
Thanos is stabbing him, so he has to be like, oh, and that wipes everyone out. That's awesome.
Yes, he stabs him so that, in fact, I don't know that I actually made that connection until I just explained it.
Well, I was wondering why.
I didn't know that was what was
so
happening.
Cool, though.
Yeah. He stabs him so that he will call out, and that just destroys the Celestials. That's super cool. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah. Very clever. I didn't make that connection. But yeah, really cool. We've got Thanos kind of wrestling with a future version of him. They've got to save Death, who is a character in the Marvel universe that Thanos is eternally trying to get to love him. It is this skeletal woman named Death, who is Death. Yep. Anyway, so they're going to go save her, I guess, and future Thanos needs his help.
I would think that in a place like this, Death would be the strongest thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Death should be something that is stronger than Thanos in this sort of future, because it's the only thing that is true anymore, right?
Yeah, Death is traditionally shown as this very, Death just kind of, hangs out. Thanos pretty much, kidnaps Death in the Infinity Gauntlet and just has her around, and she just kind of stands there and is just unimpressed by everything. So if someone were to take her, I don't think she'd really react. Because he's also done that.
Huh.
She's very just she's so immortal and powerful that she just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, interesting.
About literally anything. And his whole thing in the Infinity Gauntlet is he's trying to do something that will impress her so that she will love him, and she just doesn't care. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we read Hawkman Found, one shot, Dark Knight's Metal tie-in. This is kind of a companion piece to we read a few weeks back. Batman Lost, which was all about Batman's nightmares while trapped in the dark multiverse. We've got kind of the same thing for
we're going to call
it, although it's
we're going to say companion instead of the same. It's really well done, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of the same.
It's different. This was a dream, and it told a coherent story from beginning to end that was about Hawkman's dream. But yes, it was the same kind of idea. I think structurally pretty different, but yes. Neither of them, I would say, are essential reading to this
which
series,
is kind of annoying. I thought they were going to do how did he get here sort of thing. No, but it was there was some nice kind of character stuff with Hawkman. And Manhawks?
How he kind of... he fights some Manhawks.
Is that a real thing? Or is that is that a Man-Bat thing?
Yeah. I have no idea if that's an existing thing or not. As far as I know, that's made up. I don't know. I'm willing to bet there have been Manhawks in the history of DC.
Okay.
Probably. Manhawks.
Yeah, no. Pretty well done. Pretty cool art.
It was...
Go ahead.
Yeah, Brian Hitch is very good when he's on art. I like his art a lot. We've got Moon Knight number 190, the third part of Max Bemis's new run, the arc is Crazy Runs in the Family. This is part 3. I was not super in love with this.
It was just kind of there. Nothing really. It was just kind of okay. They're gonna go to this. Like, it's just kind of like okay. They don't really follow up at all on the Jake stuff. They just kind of brush it off, and yeah.
What are you talking about? The Jake stuff is like the crux of this issue. They reveal what he did in this issue.
Oh wait, I forgot about that part. But
yeah.
no, I guess I was just a little underwhelmed by what he did. I don't get why it's such a big deal.
I think he had a daughter.
Oh, he had a daughter with her. And never mind. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
But, like, why would he keep that a secret? Like, what's the point? I don't understand who this character is, I guess. That's why.
Because in Mark's head, these are all different people. And, like, it's kind of like the person he's been in love with forever sort of cheated on him.
Okay.
Technically, it is his body, but to Mark Spector, who has multiple personalities. If anyone doesn't know about Moon Knight, Mark Spector is a superhero with multiple personalities, and the woman he's been in love with forever basically slept with one of his other personalities and had a daughter with him.
Okay, I'll take that. But I don't know. What were your thoughts? Tell me.
I don't know. I just... Nothing in this issue really felt like it had any weight. I don't know. It all felt just kind of weirdly light and goofy in a way. Like, I didn't really like their treatment of Bushman, who's traditionally a really imposing Moon Knight villain, as just this, like, fat, goofy slob who's terrified of Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
It made him not intimidating really at all when they tried to make it a big, like, reveal when he shows up in Marlene, Moon Knight's love interest's home. Like, he's just there, but it doesn't have any weight because they just undercut all of his fear factor there. There was a lot of this issue that was just like Mark in his head having silly fight sequences with his other personalities. Yeah. That just felt like, what is the point of this?
Also, I didn't really like...
It just went on.
They were building up to their meeting, the sun god and whatever, and it's like, this is it? He's just gonna say like, oh, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, and then I don't really know what his play is here. This new character, the sun god. It's some other guy who believes he is the reincarnation or the avatar in some form of the sun god Ra, who is the father of the god Khonshu, who gives Moon Knight his powers. And he has this whole weird thing where he isn't showing that she had a daughter with his other personality enough. Why is he claiming to be in a committed relationship with Marlene and that they've been living together for years? And
yeah, it was just a little out of weird,
all of this weird stuff. I don't really understand what the point of it is.
Yeah. Because now with Bushman there, he knows that's not a real thing. Like, what's with that ruse at the beginning?
Yeah. It was always obvious that was a lie, so what was even the point of it? I don't think Mark ever believes it, and they completely undo it, when he's got all these mercenaries here, and he's trying to, I don't know. It's weird. I don't really like what they're doing to Jake Lockley, his other personality in this. I don't know.
I think it's not enough for me to stop, but it's definitely a...
No, I liked the first 2 issues enough that I'm gonna keep on this at least for another issue just to see if it gets a little better. But I don't know. It was disappointing in the context of me really liking those first 2 issues.
Also, I really like them going over the history of the Moon God and Sun God at the very beginning, the first page.
Yeah, no, that sequence is really cool where they've got both of their avatars, their kind of representatives of these two gods. They're a moon god and a sun god, and they've got different, through the ages, these different kind of people wearing outfits in service to them. We've got like a Roman or Greek.
I think it's Roman, medieval
versions. We've got like medieval. We've got cowboys, and then we've got a cool like 40s pulpy espionage thing where it looks like the sun god guy was in league with Hydra. Those are Hydra agents.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
On the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Hydra looks like in the comics. I don't know that you've read anything with Hydra in it yet.
Maybe they'll show up in Captain America.
Wear green and yellow costumes. I'm fairly sure they will at some point.
Okay, but yeah, no, I liked that. That was probably the best part of the issue, honestly.
Cool. Yeah, that definitely was the best part of the issue. That was a very good sequence.
But yeah.
So yeah, that's the end of our books for the week, and the end of the spoiler section. I think we'll probably warn if we want to say anything specific about any of the year-end wrap-up media stuff, but for in general, yeah, I think that's the end of our spoilers, at least for the comics.
We'll do the trademark sound if we have any more spoilers. Sorry.
Did you do it for this time?
You talked over.
Can we at least get this? And damn it! Can you do the end spoilers? Thank you. All right. I feel complete. Oh boy. Next week we've got Captain America number 697 and Justice League number 36.
Oh wow.
Yeah. For shared books, I think that is, unless my app is being weird on me again. As far as I can tell.
Are you sure we don't have Doctor Strange?
I've got a cut.
You know what I mean? Because that's been every 2 weeks, so it should be next week.
What was the last issue? It was
Doctor Strange? Him getting the third eye and stuff. No,
because we have a 5th week in January, so they're actually pushed back.
Wait, that's how do they push them back sometimes? I thought they always did it at the front.
Well, this month in January, they are coming out on the 17th and the 31st.
Okay.
In fact, actually, I don't actually see Doctor Strange on the 31st, so maybe they just haven't updated the date yet. Not sure. Anyway, they have, I believe, the next issue of Doctor Strange
17th.
On the 17th.
Cool. Sad.
Wait,
that's what I just saw in Comic Geeks, at least.
Yeah, next issue is the 17th. Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, so those 2 books are exciting, I guess. We'll see how Justice League is, but that should be good. Anyway, yeah, so now I think we're gonna chat for the rest of our time that we've got, about, kind of some of the stuff that came out this year.
Untethered territory here.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, it's new. We don't know what to do here. We usually do news, but, we're not doing much news. We can cover the Vice article that everyone's mad about. It's kind of...
Oh, yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, I couldn't find any comics to like this year. I liked this indie series, and then also I think that cancer, the disease cancer and AIDS were better than all of the other comics this year.
Yeah, that's about what it was. I mean, God, it's just like, I'm just getting into this and just reading that. When you say that kind of stuff about any medium, like if you said that about movies, if you said about books, games, it's miserable. No one wants to read that. Who are you appealing to? Are you appealing to fans? Are you appealing to, like, gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, just very quickly so people know what we're talking about. Vice came out with a 10 best comics of 2017 article, because everyone's doing year-end, like, best of stuff right now, and on which their writer claimed that this was a bad year for comics. I couldn't find 10 comics to like this year. So here's 8. And then literally on number 9 and 10 wrote the words nothing. And then, like, fuck off. Like, just one of the most dismissive and ignorant things I've heard said about this medium. Like, you couldn't find literally anything. Like, there's so much shit that comes out. Like, even if it seems like this person isn't a huge superhero comics fan, and so, like, sure, that's fine, I guess, but, like...
Well, he includes an omnibus of Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't notice this, from the 60s or something. Like,
yeah.
What the
heck? Like a
Stan
Lee. Apparently, if superhero comics are old, then apparently that's acceptable. But no, there are no good modern superhero comics. That's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. But whatever.
So that's fun.
Anyway, not worth getting bogged down on. But like I would argue there were a lot of really great comics this year. Some all-time classics, I think. None of which were mentioned on that article.
I want to know, actually, Dan Close, he said was his number 1, and he said it was really good. Is that, like, a really good one? Really good guy? Writer?
I've never read anything by Dan Clowes because I've never gotten, like, super into the indie comics scene or the more kind of, like, novelistic, comic scene. He writes, like, kind of like, more kind of, I don't know, slice of life kind of comics. They're indie comics. They're supposedly really good. Everyone's always telling me how great his stuff is. I've never read it, any of it, but, I don't know.
Someday we'll have to do it.
I've heard he's very good. Yeah, someday I'm interested to read it. But, like, this year we got stuff like, I mean, even some of the stuff that's currently going on, I know it's hard to, like, say that was...
Best of this year.
To compare some of this stuff that's, like, pretty new, but, like, fucking Mr. Miracle is amazing. And, other new stuff, or stuff that's ongoing, I guess I should say, like, Doomsday Clock is only a couple issues in, but it's very, very good.
Black Science, even, is,
And then, like, there's tons of ongoing stuff that's been going for years that continues to be some of the most amazing stuff in comics, like Black Science, or, like,
I heard Black Hammer was thrown around by a lot of people.
Kill or Be Killed.
Right?
Black Hammer is amazing. Black Hammer is amazing. Like, you should read Black Hammer at some point. You would really like Black Hammer. But Black Hammer is one of the best things out there by Jeff Lemire, Dean Ormston. God Country by Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw, same creative team as Thanos, is possibly one of my all-time favorite comics now.
What's it like? Is that Image or what?
All came out. It's an Image book. It is about an elderly man with Alzheimer's who basically comes into possession of an alien god's sword. Oh,
God.
And the sword basically gives him back his memories, but his ability to think, to, like, be there, present, like, mentally, but also brings with it people coming to get the sword back.
Wow. That's interesting.
So it's this it's really, really good. And has some really, really powerful emotional stuff in it. And is a really bombastic, crazy sci-fi comic as well. Wow. It's
I would
really
love
fun
to do that.
And
do you know how many issues there are in that?
It's I believe a 6-issue series, miniseries. It's you can buy a trade, and it's not too long. I think I read it in a day because I just couldn't stop reading it.
Wow. And that was this year? That was all this year?
That was all this year. Started in January, ended this year. Trade came out. So, that's probably my favorite thing from this year.
And this guy didn't think it was anything worth mentioning at all?
But yeah, fuck that. Yeah, Saga continues to be amazing by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples.
Okay. That's why Last Man Guy.
Yeah. Warren Ellis Yes. Warren Ellis came back to DC to do the Wildstorm that I mentioned earlier. That comic's really great. Tom King finally kind of started to get his groove with Batman this year. He's been writing Batman for the last few years, and it's kind of been taking him a while to feel like he's kind of like figured out what his take on the character is and what he wants to do with it. And this year has been like pretty much nonstop bangers from him. Like it's his Batman has become really, really
I like it when
good.
you say nonstop bangers. It's nonstop bangers.
I picked a podcast I listen to.
Are they English?
Bangers a lot, and I think I just picked it up. But no,
really?
They're American.
Okay.
But I just like it's just a fun word to say.
It's a banger in the mouth.
Oh boy. But yeah, and then this year, aside from new comics, we read tons of older stuff we went back to. That I'm also glad that I went back to. Jack, you just really getting into comics this year, before you jumped on the current comics train.
Well, I had a lot, because you told me about Vision, and I was interested in learning more about Vision after his appearance in the cinematic universe and everything, so I read that, a series by, who was it again? Who was the series by?
That was by Tom King.
Okay.
And Gabriel Hernandez Walter, Tom King, who's now writing Mr. Miracle and Batman and other really great stuff. Gabriel Hernandez Walter, who is now doing the art on Donny Cates' Doctor Strange.
Okay, so, that's cool. But yeah, no, that Vision thing, like that's I loved that. That was so cool. Like, and you were telling me you were surprised that he was able to do this with that character without them saying, like, you're gonna ruin him. This is terrible. Like, but it's...
Yeah. Like, it's insane. It's, like, how did they let him do that?
Just like...
book? Like, that book is one... Like, that's the first, like, solo series that Vision has had in a long time, and it coincides with him kind of blowing up on popularity in the mainstream because of the movies. And that's what they greenlight?
I mean, it's great though. It's so good. Like, it adds a lot of depth to a character that could easily be very superficial. Like, actually, yes, inherently superficial, in fact. But they just delve right into the ideas that could possibly make him superficial, and how that superficiality can just fuck everything up. It's so good.
Yep. Yeah, like, the best, and it takes all the best kind of historical elements of who logically the Vision is, and makes it into really great emotional content, and really messes with it in this almost horror-like way. Like in the ways that the Vision has always been a character that's been about kind of weird familial conflict and really messed up family tree stuff, where like he's in weird ways related to a lot of different characters in the Marvel universe, and they're all in these weird tiffs with each other, and it's gotten to be this really fucked up, like a whole bunch of really fucked up dynamics. And in this, he creates his own family of robots, because he's a robot, and he makes a family of robots to kind of like finally try to be normal, but it just can't be.
It's
it's so
I
good.
highly recommend it for everybody. And then I'm still doing Hawaii Last Man. I'm on the last like 10 issues or something like that. I'm so close to finishing it.
Oh my God, you're so
I know.
close to the end.
I know. I could probably finish it on the
that.
plane ride back home.
Have you been continually reading it? I haven't heard any updates.
I know.
From you
No, I'm probably going to update you. I've been at 10 issues for probably a couple weeks. I don't know. We've had a lot to read, I feel like, recently. So I feel like it's been that, and it's just been like getting, I don't know. But, it's so close. So I think we should do like I should do like an overview sort of when I finish this finally on one of these things. Cause it's just it's really great.
Yeah, we should talk. Yeah, we'll do some sort of spoilery talk of Why the Last Man once you finish. God, maybe I should
do
read it too.
I can send you my download of it. Is that bad?
Detail,
should we not talk about? Oh, you have it.
I have it.
Oh yeah, you have it. I read it on.
Maybe not.
In any case, and then we just read Happy, and then I read Scott Snyder's Batman and a little bit of Black Science. Scott Snyder's Batman was so cool. The Secret City, not Secret City. What's Zero Year? Zero Year was awesome. That was a great, like, all in all, just sort of run. Was that 2011 then that was running?
I think New 52 was 2010 or 2011, one of those 2 years. It was sometime around then, and that's when his Batman launched.
Okay.
So, yeah. That book is super great. One of the all-time best Batman runs. If anybody hasn't read Scott Snyder's Batman and is looking for a good Batman story, because I'm sure a lot of people are, read Scott Snyder's Batman. At the very least, read Court of Owls, because it's the beginning, and it's, in my opinion, his best in that series. The rest of it maintains a very high bar of excellence after that, but that one you can jump into and get a really, really great classic Batman story. And if you like it, there's so much more after it, and it's all so good.
And so how are your old comics?
Yeah.
What was your favorites, or were your favorites? Sorry.
So I finally finished reading James Robinson's Starman. That series is one of my favorites. It's so good. It's one of the best tellings of kind of like a legacy character, a character taking a mantle of a character from someone who was that before. Like, his father was Starman before him, and his brother was Starman before him, and he takes on the mantle of Starman, and it's all about him slowly turning from this like unwilling young slob to this very stand-up heroic character who's taking charge of his life and being responsible. And it's really, really well done. Some of the best character work in comics I've read. Love that book. Pretty long. It's like, I think 60 plus, something like that, issues. But, I read the first half, 52 at DC. I read the volume 1 of the like omnibus books they've been putting out. It's a 2-volume thing. I have to get the second one still, but that's probably the best like encapsulation of the DC universe as a shared universe in a single book. Like, if you ever wanted like a comic that is just like about the DC universe and not just a book about Batman or a book about Superman or or even just like an event series, like, this is like an ongoing book that went for a year, 1 issue a week, written by an amazing team of writers.
And it's all good? There aren't like weak...
Are
there weak issues, or...
Like, it's not all 100% amazing, but I would say it's almost all fantastic. Like, it's all very well done.
Right.
I don't know. Like, it's written by a team of writers, so like, it can be slightly uneven at times, but even when it's not necessarily like matching, the tone is always matching, like, it's still well done. It's still well written. Like, it's written by Grant Morrison, Jeff Johns, Greg Rucka, and Mark Waid, who are some of the best and most influential comic book writers in like in the modern age, and they clearly worked very well as a team together on this book. And I find it very fun to go through that book. One of the best things is to go through and try to pick out, like, I'm not 100%, I should look up sometime how they actually broke down the writing of this book, because I would assume that they didn't literally sit in a room and, like, I could be totally wrong. Maybe this is how they did this, but I assume they weren't just, like, collectively writing the lines together. I assume they, like, wrote scenes, because it's very broken up into these very discrete, like, each issue has, like, 4 or 5 different subplots that we jump from scene to scene, like getting the next installment of the Question story, the next installment of the Black Adam story, you know. And I assume each of them took, like, each of those. And so I've been having fun trying to figure out, like, is this the Grant Morrison part? Is this the Greg Rucka part? And the great thing is, like, there are moments when you go, like, that seems like a Grant Morrison line, but it never feels like any of the parts are, like, drastically out of place. They all feel of a part of one story.
Cool.
And it's really good.
Awesome.
I got back to reading. I've been continually reading Jeff Johns' JSA run on JSA. That book's great. I read another. I went back and restarted it, and I read like the first 3 or 4 volumes or something. They're the older volumes. They're smaller. But that's great. That's a great book. I read Mark Millar's Jupiter's Legacy. I went back and read the Infinity Gauntlet for the first time. And
it is actually really great. Are you excited to see what they do with it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think that they're going to, it's not going to be an adaptation of that. Like, none of these movies are. But like, so it wasn't really in preparation. I didn't think like I need to read it before the movie comes out. It was more just like, because this movie is coming out, me going like, it just kind of like getting me to pressure myself to like, you've never read that and it's supposed to be one of the classic Marvel comics. So, you should get around to reading that now.
Cool.
And it's great if you're ever interested in kind of reading an older style of Marvel, of superhero comics. It's very fun and I think very approachable even to modern audiences, modern readers. I read, Cullen Bunn's The Damned because earlier this year I started reading a series by him called The Damned. It's in like the 20s with gangsters and demons and, like people selling their souls to demons and stuff. I started reading it and realized partway in that it is a sequel. And I didn't know that. And I was fine. Like, I wasn't confused or anything, cause I feel like they do a pretty good job of like splitting the difference on like appeasing new readers, but also kind of onboarding you to it. And I was really enjoying it, and I found out like, oh shit, there's a whole trade paperback, that is from like 10 years ago or something, that's out. They just did a reprinting of, it wasn't originally in color, and they just, colored it for this new version. And that was really good, going back to read that. So I read a bunch of older stuff this year, and pretty much all great. And then we had a whole
mess,
slew of superhero movies this year. Lots of Marvel movies. On the Marvel side, we had Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Do we have any of those?
Not in the MCU.
Logan. No, they didn't. I was wondering if we had a different one, but no. You're right. Logan, though. Yeah.
We not in the MCU, but based on Wolverine, we had Logan. We had at DC, we had Wonder Woman. And then I don't know if this counts. But does Split
It's not
count?
a comic book, but it is sort of a
It's not a comic book, but it is. But
it involves like
Okay, this is spoilers for, I'm sorry, I can't talk about this movie at this point. It's been months. If you haven't seen that movie, you either have already had this spoiled for you, or, like, you probably aren't interested in the spoiler because, anyway, Split is a sort of follow-up. It is in the same universe as M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable, which is which was not based on a comic book, but it was like an M. Night Shyamalan superhero movie.
Great. Really great. And this is sort of the companion supervillain origin
Unbreakable
movie.
was? Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the twist. It isn't really delivered like it's a superhero or supervillain movie. It's more of a thriller / horror movie, kind of. But the eventual reveal is that we get Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable at the end, and there's the implication that James McAvoy's character, whose name I can't remember, is going to probably be the villain or a villain in the upcoming
Kevin Wendell Crumb
sequel, Glass.
Or The Beast, The Horde.
That sounds right. Oh God, yeah, that was the evil personality. God, that movie's very fun, and not a comic book movie, but a movie in a series that was originally intended as a kind of superhero / comic book homage, and not quite commentary on
a little bit of it. Well, and then they have the upcoming sequel.
So I think
Glass,
so it's kind of
coming out, so this is all lead up to that, so that should be fun. The M. Night Shyamalan cinematic universe.
All those. I mean, dude, if it's Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable and they're building more characters in that universe, that's awesome. All of these other movies were great. I think the standout probably
just
Logan,
for brute
right?
originality, and hopefully we get stuff like that in the future with them getting those rights, Disney getting the rights. But I didn't like Logan. Yeah, I liked Logan. Sorry, let me start that off. I liked Logan. I loved Logan. In fact, I think it was a little in your face about, we have an R rating. We got to do all this stuff now. That's the only gripe I have for it.
But I don't think... Yeah. No, that was also my only complaint with it, was that sometimes the need to put schlocky R-rated content in there, showing a woman's, having a woman flash... Logan at one point, the amount of gore and stuff, but it felt a little excessive at times in a way that just felt just to have the R rating. But I don't think that stuff necessarily impeded the emotional content of the story they were telling. So, it doesn't really bother me all that much. It does bother me, but I don't think it lessens my enjoyment of that movie, because that movie
and Professor Xavier's best thing ever. I love.
It's definitely his Patrick Stewart's best performance as Professor X. Really fitting end to, those versions of those interpretations of those characters. And fascinating that movie came out in the same year that 21st Century Fox got bought by Disney, and theoretically Marvel could do stuff with X-Men now. We'll see what they end up doing with those properties, if they integrate them or what they do. But really interesting contrast, the stuff that Disney's doing with their movies, and then Logan. And then Disney buying Fox. So we'll see where that goes. But at the very least, out of that, we got Logan, and Logan is really good. All these other movies also very fun movies. Like all of them.
Then I didn't watch any of these.
We had a few comic book.
I didn't watch Legion, but I watched some of Punisher.
One episode. You watched some of Punisher. Okay. I titled this category Best Comic Book Shows. I guess this is more comic book shows I watched. Legion is amazing. I would say that. Legion is probably really the only comic book show that came out this year that I loved, that I really, like, unashamedly just, like, fell in love with. It's so good. I recommend everyone watch that show. It's up there in terms of the best, like, comic book TV shows.
I gotta watch it. I really do.
Of all time. Yeah. It's a show about, if anyone doesn't know, it's a show about, it's about mutants. It is technically tied to the X-Men property. It's not, I don't know that it's necessarily ever going to have any kind of real crossover with them, but they refer to people as mutants. People have mutant powers. But it's kind of it's a weird, like, conspiracy thriller slash horror movie slash surreal comedy slash a lot of stuff. And it's always keeping you just on the edge of knowing, like, is this shit actually happening? But like, in a way that, like, still feels very satisfying. Like, it doesn't feel like none of this is happening, like, whatever. Like, it is happening, but it's because of the weird conspiracy thriller nature of it and the ways in which it deals with kind of, like, the main character's mental state. It always keeps you in that constant sense of doubt. Cool.
And then you also watch more Punisher.
It's like,
or you want to go?
If the X-Men, yeah. I was just gonna say, it's like if the X-Men was dreamed up by a conspiracy theorist. Like it's super weird. Yeah, Punisher is good.
Okay.
I have not watched any more since
like 6 episodes
since we last
or something?
talked about it, but I'm still, like, halfway through it. I'm a little over halfway through it. There is good stuff in there. I should finish it. I just haven't had time. But it's a little heavy-handed at times, and I don't really like some of their
decisions.
Their kind of depiction of the Punisher as a, like, empathetic protagonist. I feel like it undoes a lot of the gray area that they created in Daredevil season 2. But yeah.
For games,
and then,
you played this. I only watched it.
Pretty light this year. Yeah. Injustice 2 came out. Like, there was lots of little stuff here and there, but, like, the only real big comic game to come out this year was Injustice 2. And that game's fantastic. I love it. I should go back, and every time I talk about it or think about it, I always feel the need to go back and play some more of it.
I want to still play you. I want to find a time when we're both here to beat you in some fights.
I know. We haven't had a chance to play it all. Maybe we can somehow manage to play on
maybe
New Year's Eve, which I guess will be tonight on the day this goes
I just got a copy of a used version of Injustice, the first one, so I'm really excited to start playing that again. And it's an Ultimate Edition, so I have all the characters. It's great.
Oh, nice. But, yeah. Oh, God, I haven't played, like, really any of the DLC characters that come out, and there are some really great DLC additions to this new one. Like, we didn't touch on all of them in news. I think we touched on some of them, but, like, they added... Like, some of the Adams in there. Some of the guest characters are really great. Like, they put in, Hellboy and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like,
that's
great.
Oh,
it's so perfect.
Okay. Do they have all 4 of them?
Fun bit of trivia. Yes, in some form. I haven't played them yet, so I think it's some sort of, I would imagine it's some sort of, like, stance change. Either that or their skins. I'm not sure, but it might be like in like the newer Smash Bros. Games where like they have Pokemon Trainer and you just switch between the different Pokemon. That's what I'm imagining, but I haven't played with them yet, so maybe not. But that game's great.
You did a trivia thing.
That's something else I was going to say about it, but I forgot. I was about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did you know that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were originally a black and white indie comic parody of dark, gritty superhero comics from the 80s, specifically Daredevil.
That's weird, and I would love to read those original ones then.
They were like really dark and violent, and the movie was actually what kind of like made them really goofy and silly and
that must have been annoying.
But they were I don't know, both versions are great. They've kind of tried in comics to bring back the original versions of them a little bit in the last few years, but they, as a fun little Easter egg, they are created by the same chemical spill that blinds Matt Murdock. Not officially, because they're not part of the Marvel Universe, but in their book, it's like the truck is labeled as the same thing, and a boy gets blinded in the the scene where Matt Murdock is in that crash in which the chemicals blind him happens, and then the chemicals drip down into the sewer and make some turtles into mutants.
Crazy. Awesome. But then upcoming video games, we have the Sony Spider-Man one too, which is kind of cool, looking awesome.
Yeah, well, yeah, that one's really exciting. We have a last category on here in which we'll run down some of the new stuff that's going to come out next year that we're excited for.
But first, you want to go through these disappointments?
Yeah, we don't need to talk too much about them, but because I'd rather talk more about the stuff we're
Wonder
excited
Woman,
about. But
Iron Fist Defenders.
I don't know. Like, I feel like, James. We're talking about Wonder Woman the comic, not the movie. The movie was fun. But James Robinson took over Wonder Woman. James Robinson is a really great writer. I was just talking about how great his Starman run was. I was kind of excited for him to come back and do some books at DC. And his Wonder Woman was pretty disappointing. That was not great. Iron Fist and Defenders at Netflix.
You didn't watch any of it?
I need to. I need to watch them? I didn't watch any of them. All I've heard is just terrible shit about it. And so I guess this entry is more just, I'm disappointed that like I've been soured on them enough that I'm not going to watch them. But I've just heard such bad stuff about them that like, I don't think I want to waste the time on it. Ugh.
And then Justice League came out and we both watched that.
And then,
it's better than Batman v Superman, and it's something for the future.
It was like, it's not all bad. I think it is a step in the right direction. It's not great. It's not good. It was still not great. Although I don't know if I could say I was disappointed in it because I knew it was going to be bad, but
definitely disappointing numbers for.
And then you didn't.
Go ahead. for dollars.
You're talking about for Warner Brothers, for Warner Brothers. Yep. And then I read this. You didn't read this, but I was excited for. Steve Orlando wrote a really good run on Midnighter, which is a Wildstorm character that they integrated into the DCU. He was kind of like the Wildstorm universe's version of Batman a little bit. And he wrote a really good run on that. And then, so I really liked that book. And then I was excited to see what else he did. And he wrote this book, Justice League of America, which is a kind of spin-off Justice League book about a different team run by Batman with a bunch of different characters, including the Atom and characters like Vixen and, Lobo, Black Canary. Really interesting lineup. I was excited to see what he would do, and that book ended up being kind of bad.
And that was the one that kind of brushed over Adam's whole storyline in Rebirth, which I was excited about, but too bad.
Yeah, that was the follow-up. That was the follow-up to to the Adams story that they teased in Rebirth. Didn't really do anything interesting in what I saw with it. I know they did do more with it, but anyway. But on the better side of things, we had like a couple people who kind of broke through in the industry this year. Donny Cates is a writer who like he's been kicking around in the image and smaller publisher scene for a while. I hadn't read any of his stuff before, but God Country was like this weird breakout hit. I mean, it's not weird because it's amazing, but it kind of broke him through, got him a deal signed at Marvel, and now he's writing two really big kind of flagship Marvel books that are both so far amazing. I'm really sold on him as a writer. He's quickly jumped to among my favorite current writers, I think, in a very short amount of time.
He's great.
And I'm really impressed.
Fan. I gotta read God Country now. I was gonna say Dog Country, but that'd be fun too.
Dog Country.
Dog Country. A dog gets Alzheimer's and sorry.
And then Mitch Gerrits has definitely been around for a little while. He's been doing stuff, but this was the year that he did a book called Sheriff of Babylon with Tom King. Vertigo, which was Tom King's first big comic thing, or one of them. But this was the year that kind of, I think, Mitch Gerrits came into the mainstream in terms of comics readers with Mr. Miracle, and that book is so incredibly beautiful. Like, the art, it's so well done, and I'm really glad that people are aware of him now. And he's probably going to be doing new big things. I think he is quickly becoming an A-list talent over at DC. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'll keep a lookout for that name because Mr. Miracle, it's so cool how it's drawn. I just don't know how that's going to translate to other ideas because I feel like it's so perfect for Mr. Miracle, you know?
Yeah. And then, there were a lot of memorable things that happened in comics this year. I think things, I've like cherry picked a couple things that happened in comics this year that I think are the things that like in 10, 20 years, if we were to look back at this year and like what happened this year in comics that like was memorable and influential, I think it's three things. I think it's Batman proposed to Catwoman. I have no idea if that's going to be a thing that like is a permanent change to that character, or if they're going to undo it at some point, or if they even get married at all. But they're engaged currently, and that was a really big, powerful moment when that happened. I think that panel specifically where Batman is down on one knee with a ring for Catwoman is going to be a thing that people are going to remember, whether you like it or not. Like, I think it is a thing that is going to be remembered. I think that's big. I think the integration of Watchmen into DC, or at least the start of it, is going to be a thing that people are going to remember.
Well, it's starting off so well, unless it like gets so horrible so fast. I mean, it's just going to be, such a big part of that story now. Like,
whether I think the story is shaping up to be really, really great. Whether the rest of the story pans out or not, I think that this is still a really kind of important moment. Like, if these characters end up being a part of they might not. At the end of the story, they might not be a part of the DC universe. They might go back to their own universe or something. I have no idea. But, but I still think the crossover between these characters and the DC characters is a thing that people are going to remember about this year in comics. And then I don't know if you know about this last one.
I don't.
About Captain America.
I don't know anything.
So, Captain America this year, it was a big controversy. So Sam Wilson was Captain America, the Falcon. He was
Sam
Captain
Wilson,
America for a while.
No, okay.
Yeah, the Falcon. Because Steve Rogers died a while back. Sam Wilson became Captain America, and they brought back Steve Rogers a while after that. But as like a weird second Captain America, they've been doing weird stuff like that for a while with a lot of their characters, where they have like the new version, and then to appease the old fans, also the classic version's kind of over here in his own little corner, which is weird. Just pick one, but
they do that,
in his book,
is that a new thing that they do now in comics, or is that
pretty new? It's a pretty new thing, specifically over at Marvel, where they want writers are coming up with new characters for these. Like, we integrated Miles Morales, Ultimate Spider-Man, into the Marvel Universe. Peter Parker's still around, also Spider-Man. They're both Spider-Man.
Okay, I have a question. Is sort of this thing, because I read something recently that apparently Marvel's been trying to do like the whole diversify their lineup and everything, but I guess they're getting like ideas that the sales aren't doing too hot. But a lot of people are saying that it's not necessarily that the diversifying is bad, it's that you're forcing them into roles that we know and love. So we don't want a new version of this role. We want you to create new characters that are diverse.
Yeah, but
right?
that's always the double-edged sword, is that like it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't thing, because if you change who the original characters are, people are always going to be upset because they get attached to whoever was the original Steve Rogers or the original Spider-Man or whatever, the original Thor. But if you want to diversify your lineup of characters, which is a thing they should be doing, because comics historically are all about white men, and the creators have historically been almost exclusively white men, and to like better reflect the actuality that is society, you really need to inject some sort of diversity into that. But if you just create new characters, those characters historically usually get canceled very quickly. They don't sell. A new diverse character will sell better, regardless if it sells better or worse than the original character did, if they are in the mantle of an existing character. If you make a black man Captain America, he's going to sell better as Captain America than he did. Well, Falcon as a character who's been around for a while, so that's not a great example. But like, Ms. Marvel. I don't know if you know who Ms. Marvel is. Ms. Marvel is a character who's been around for a while, and a few years back, they introduced a new Ms. Marvel, who is a young Muslim girl.
Okay.
And
cool.
That character sold very well, and sold much better, I guarantee. This is based entirely on speculation, but also kind of vaguely on, like, how these things sell and what I've seen. Like, she sold better, I guarantee, than she would have if they came up with some new name and some new identity for her. So I'm also kind of the opinion that, like, I like the passing of the mantle of characters. I like the feeling of generations in superheroes. I like getting to know a new character who is learning the mantle. I think it's a great way to show the passage of time and to keep characters modern and fresh, keep concepts about characters modern and fresh, while, like, preserving a sense of history and legacy with those characters. I don't know. I'm super for them doing that. Yes, their sales have not been great. It's dubious. I think it's a dubious claim to say it's because the characters are diverse, and if it is, that's really shitty. But anyways, we've gotten on a huge tangent here. Here.
Sam Wilson is Cap.
Sam Wilson is Cap. They brought back Captain America. They brought back Steve Rogers in his own book. And in his own book, as the cliffhanger of the first issue, they reveal that, because he was brought back to life by this weird, he was brought back to life by the Cosmic Cube, basically, the Tesseract.
Huh.
And this new version is secretly an agent of Hydra. And so then they had a big event wherein basically Hydra takes over the world and Captain America is in charge of them.
Jeez. And
it was a big controversial thing because they basically made Captain America into a Nazi. Because Hydra are kind of, depending on your view about them, they can be seen as stand-ins for the Nazis.
Yeah.
Depending on the version of them. This very much was that. And a lot of people really didn't like that. It made them upset.
Interesting. Okay.
They did a big event called Secret Empire, where Hydra takes over the world and he's in charge of them. Eventually, it turned out, that wasn't the real Captain America, and the real Captain America came and saved the day, and some ways feels like What now?
Was that like them trying to fix their the alienation of that audience?
That's what it feels like. It felt like a weird backpedaling on it. I see why they want to be able to keep telling stories about Captain America, and they can't if he's now like a Nazi. Or they want to keep telling stories about Steve Rogers, I should say. But I really saw where they were coming from. I think people were being overly harsh on it because people get very nostalgic about those characters.
Yeah.
But they were getting mad after that first reveal. It's like, you haven't seen what it is yet. You don't even know what they're trying to say with this. It was very much, it felt like a lot of comics people right now are in very obvious ways trying to work out their feelings about the Trump administration. And that one was very candidly and outwardly about, this, Nick Spencer talked about this, like how it's about finding out that the nation that you have thought had moved past this shit is secretly incredibly backwards and wrongheaded.
Okay.
But so I see where that comes from. I didn't read it. I just watched all this happen from the sidelines, and the whole thing just really turned me off from even getting involved. But I don't know. People got really up in arms about it. I think that it's a thing that people are going to remember about his characters, if only for the controversy. Captain America, the image of Captain America as this
a Nazi,
basically Nazi. So,
okay. Do you want to go really quickly into what we're looking forward to this coming year then?
Yeah, we don't necessarily have to go through all these. Maybe I'll list them off in a bullet point at the end, anything we didn't say. But is there anything on this list we made here that is particularly super exciting to you? What are you most excited for next year?
The next seasons of these Netflix things are fun. I'm really excited for the Jessica Jones. I'm really excited for the Daredevil to see if that gets into more of the style of the first season that I really liked, or even that sort of commentary on the vigilante justice, like you said. I'm obviously really excited for Milk Wars. That's going to be awesome.
That's the
just in
crossover
general,
between
DC and Young Animal.
DC and their Young Animal books, Doom Patrol and Shade the Changing Girl and all those.
So yeah, that should be good. That's all month of February, I think, right? That's the whole month of February.
I think that's when it starts. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then,
it's starting
in terms.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. And then you had a couple books that Dr. Star, that was the Starman thing, right?
Yep, it's a spin-off book from Black Hammer.
Black Hammer.
It's a spin-off book from Black Hammer about basically a Starman analog who is literally named James Robbins. So it's
funny.
Jeff Lemire. It's very funny, but it's Jeff Lemire writing a Starman book, basically it's not called Starman because Black Hammer is all about like analog characters for existing superheroes, but it's basically Jeff Lemire writing a Starman book, and I'm very excited for
toaster pastries to Pop-Tarts.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's a generic. That's the easiest one. And then we got in terms of like movies, they have so many cool things like Infinity War in May, Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out right after that, which might develop more of the multiverse, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, they tease that a little bit.
Yeah. And then Black Panther looks so silly. It looks kind of just silly, but I'm really excited for it. You know?
I'll see about that one. I really like Black Panther as a character. I haven't been super impressed by these trailers so far.
I'm gonna see it.
I'm really excited. Well, definitely going to see it. I'm excited to see what they do with him. I hope it is good. We'll see.
Yeah. And then, what is it? New Mutants is gonna be cool. That's like the new horror, like, X-Men thing that they're trying to do, which is another cool, different thing. What? Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, it's gonna be one of the last, solo Fox X-Men things, other than they've still got X-Men Dark Phoenix coming out at some point that they're working on, but New Mutants looks at the very least like a really interesting departure from what they've been doing. It's a horror movie, which is fascinating. Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they got the games. I didn't know about this Square event. Is that Square Enix?
Yeah, Square Enix announced that they're doing some sort of Avengers licensed property, not the movies. I'm not sure. It's about the Avengers. It could be. It could be tied into the movies. I assume it's just the comics, but yeah, they're doing something. They put out a teaser at some point earlier this year. So don't really know anything about it, but I would be totally down for like a big budget Avengers video game of some kind.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah,
anything else you want to go over?
Yeah, the comic book I'm probably the most excited for is another Jeff Lemire thing. He's doing a book called The Terrifics, which is a semi-spin-off. It's spinning out of the events of Dark Knight's Metal, whether or not it's actually kind of really related to it or not. But it's basically Marvel stopped publishing Fantastic Four books because they, for whatever reason, it could be they don't want to prop up their pop culture status because it's competing movies. It could be for other weird editorial reasons. It could be just no one knows what to do with them. Who knows? But they're not publishing them anymore. They kind of gave them a send-off with Secret Wars, and they aren't really around anymore other than The Thing and Human Torch. And DC is like, fuck it. We're doing a Fantastic Four book. We're calling it The Terrifics, led by a character named Mr. Terrific. And yep, it's about Mr. Terrific. It's about Plastic Man. It's about Metamorpho, who's a great character. And a character who I don't really know anything about named Phantom Girl, who is a character who can turn invisible and phase through things. They're not one-to-one analogs to the Fantastic Four characters, but they're close enough that, like, Jeff Lemire excels at writing analogs of superhero characters, as he's shown in his Black Hammer stuff, and him writing an off-brand Fantastic Four book that is going to include Alan Moore's Tom Strong characters, as well, they teased at some point, is really exciting to me.
Cool.
Let's see. They're making an Umbrella Academy show at Netflix. Very curious to know how that turns out. No idea if that'll be good. Haven't seen anything other than casting for that. You should.
I'm going to read that at some point.
If you like Gerard Way on Doom Patrol.
Oh, Gerard Way.
Yeah, it's a Gerard Way. It was Gerard Way's kind of big homage to Doom Patrol before he wrote Doom Patrol. It's great. Yeah, I'm very curious about a lot of this stuff. They're making a Teen Titans live action show. DC is. I'm excited to see Glass. What else did we mention on here? They're making Deadpool. Deadpool 2 is going to be out at some point.
Oh yeah.
And of course that Spider-Man game looks great. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited. I just got, speaking of the Spider-Man, I just also got with this purchase, we went to GameStop and they had the 2-for-1 pre-owned things. So we got, Injustice, we got like Ratchet and Clank, which I'm really excited for, both of those. And then we also got Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which looks really, really cool. I'll tell you about it.
I feel like I heard generally good things about that.
It's supposed to be really good, and it looks like the different dimensions that you play in are like different art styles completely. So it's like totally like there's one dimension where you're like in stealth based, it's like very like dark sort of style, and then there's one where it's
there's
like
a noir
more webcomic or something. Like it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man Noir. So it's like a noir black and white world. They're fighting like gangsters and stuff. There's Spider-Man. I'm blanking on the actual year number, but there's like a future version of Spider-Man who's known as like Spider-Man blank year is the name of that character, and I don't know what the year is. I want to say 2046, but I'm pretty sure that's Blade Runner.
Okay. 2049.
2049.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was everything I had on this list, but, definitely excited for a lot of that stuff. Glass, we mentioned, excited to see what that is.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, that was 2017, and we went longer than
Doug wrote, I know this week's episode was shorter than usual.
Okay. Well, that's because I didn't change last week's outro. I just
so you were lazy.
I did. Well,
I'm just kidding.
But that's gonna do it for this week and for this year. It's the 31st. Today, and we wish you all a happy new year. For those of you who've been listening, thanks for listening to us for these past couple months.
Yes.
We're excited
to sing Auld Lang Syne, but I don't know the rest of the words.
We're excited to keep doing this show into the next year, and we hope you keep listening. Thanks for listening to the episode today. We're a new podcast. So the absolute biggest thing that you can do for us, as always, is to please give us a review or a star rating on iTunes. Anything helps. Even just clicking that star button takes you 2 seconds. And it really helps us to surface to new listeners on iTunes. So please do that. And if you enjoyed what you heard, let someone know about us, either in person or on social media, or if you just want to like grab a person on the street and just scream into their face, covered, listen to it, they're wonderful! Scream and like hold the lapels of their shirt and just scream as the spittle flies in their face. Do that. And then, spittle is a good word.
And,
we release.
Like that word.
You always try to jump in on me early. We release episodes weekly on Sundays, so be sure to check back in next week, or better yet, subscribe to this podcast feed and never even have to think about it. I write a script, Jack. I write a script every week.
Okay, you know why I jump in on you is because you always say...
I didn't.
No. So, you know why I always jump in on you is because you always say the let's them know about how great we are, because I think that's a perfect segue into also let people know how much let us know if you think we suck on specifically what we think we suck at on a DM or direct message on our Twitter and Facebook, because we want to know and we want to do better and stuff like that, because we like doing this. But, we're at Comics Covered on Twitter and Facebook. You can also find web archives of our episodes on our comicscovered.libsyn, libsyn.com. But yeah, the review and rating, we're on all these different podcast apps, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Google Play Music. So we got you covered on there. On this script, Doug always writes the covered thing. So I'm going to figure something else out. Doug, I got to do it.
You don't have to say the covered joke. It is painful, but that's also why it's there.
I'm a man of theater, so I have to read my script exactly as it is. But I always do that. But
read as it's written.
And we're on YouTube as well. There are video versions. There aren't videos of us quite yet, but we should film a video. Doug is one with the camera as well, so we should do that, Doug, sometime. In any case, send us a message.
Put video somewhere.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Holiday, no, not holiday, but something. But yeah, send us a message on why we specifically suck if you think we specifically suck. But otherwise, we know there are some people listening still, so thank you for listening again. I am a cold mammal.
You're a cold mammal?
I am a cold mammal. I'm cold.
You're going to die? You're cold?
No, I'm not that cold.
God, you need to warm yourself up.
Well, it's cold. It's negative 12 out. Give me a break. You're in Texas.
It's the holidays. It's the holidays. Get a cup of hot chocolate. Get yourself a cup of Joe, honey. Oh,
yeah.
Boy. That happened. I'm Doug. And this has been Comics Covered.
This has been Comics Covered. Should we try and time that?
And this has been Comics
Covered.
Covered.
Cheerio.
Bye.